What's up, y'all? It's Danny, and today I'm gonna show you guys how to make a wizard hoodie. You guys have been asking me for I think a year to make this tutorial, but I had to really perfect the wizard hood and make a pattern so then if you guys wanted to purchase a pattern, you could. And if you want to purchase it before this tutorial starts, it's $10 on my website. It's a physical copy, so it's just like a piece of paper that's gonna come folded up because I don't know how to do the digital stuff. But yeah, purchase that. The link to get it is in the description below, and then come back to this video because I will show you how to kind of do it without a pattern. But as someone who's been sewing for literal years, it took me a long time to just design the pattern. Yeah, I'm super excited with how this turned out. It is definitely one of my favorite creations, and I know by the length of this video it can seem a little intimidating because it is long, but these take a long time to make. But it's so worth it because look how cute this is. And in the video I go into detail, like very detailed descriptions of why I do everything and exactly how I make them, so you can make one just like this for yourself or a friend, or even if you wanted to make them to sell. I don't care. I sell these for like $300, so this is something you can make and upcycle and sell if you want to make some money. But yeah, without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so for this tutorial, you're gonna need like 3 different colors. I like to use 3 just because I feel like it flows really well. So you can use 3 sweatshirts, 3 pairs of pants, or you can substitute any of those 3 for like a blanket. So I have this blanket, and then I have a sweatshirt. So for one of your fabrics, you're gonna need a sweatshirt. So one of them has to be a sweatshirt. And the sweatshirt specifically needs to fit you nicely. This is like a size large. And you want to make sure it has these on the end. And it also needs this elastic on the bottom because you're going to use that for the hoodie you're making. And on top of these 3 fabrics, you're going to need another hoodie that fits you perfectly, but it doesn't matter what kind of color this is because this is just going to be your pattern. I just have this XL Adidas hoodie that I already cut up. Basically, you're going to get your hoodie and you're going to cut out each panel. So you're going to cut out the front and you're going to want to cut it as closest to the seams as you can. So you're going to have a front, a back, and you're only going to need 1 sleeve. You can see how closely I cut to the seams to keep the size correct for your hoodie. For this video, you're also going to need just like a regular sewing machine. I use the Singer Heavy Duty 4423. I'm going to link it in the description below. You're also going to need some pins and some fabric scissors. I've tried so many different fabric scissors off of Amazon, and these ones are the best. So the first thing you're going to do is cut apart your fabrics. I don't really need to cut apart my blankets, but I do need to cut apart this because you're going to reuse. This is not the one you're using for the pattern. That's the other one. This one, you're just going to reuse these elastic pieces. So when you're cutting these off, okay, I'm going to backtrack. When you're cutting your pattern, you're cutting as close as you can to the seams. That is on the other hoodie. For the one you're doing to match, you're going to leave like a finger space of fabric above the elastic on the bottom. And then same with here, you're going to leave like a finger space of fabric so then you can sew it on to your hoodie. All right, now you're just gonna set these aside because you're not gonna put these on your hoodie till the end. And then you're just gonna cut apart any fabric that you have as close to the seams as you can, just so you can save as much fabric for your creation. All right, now I have everything cut up and we're gonna get to designing. I always like to start with designing the front of my hoodie because you have the most options with your fabric, and I just like kind of like to set the tone for the hoodie because I think the front is like the best part and like kind of the focal point, I guess. So there's no right way to do this. I kind of just like to put an even amount of each piece onto the hoodie. So like a piece of each one. Like I'll have one color up here, one color over here, and then one over here. I'm actually gonna put this fabric down here because I think I'm gonna reuse this pocket on the bottom. And if I have this color down here and then the same color pocket, I feel like it won't really look well. So when you're cutting this, I feel like it's really hard unless you have a hard floor or like a table. It's kind of hard to do this on carpet, but basically you're just gonna want to like feel for the edge of your sweatshirt. You can even just like probably see mine, but I usually just like feel with my finger. So you're gonna want to do like an inch or so underneath that. So like I feel it right here and I'm just doing it like, this is how much extra fabric I'm doing. All right, now I'm going on to my other fabric. All right, so I'm gonna lay it on and you're gonna wanna make sure you're overlapping these two. You can see that I'm overlapping it. You don't wanna overlap it too much, just like to preserve your fabric. And also if you do that, it's gonna be kind of like awkward to sew. Like you're gonna be sewing it and it's just gonna be like chunks. It has happened to me. So just like a good amount, like that. If you are using a fabric that like pulls apart, like a knitted sweater or something, you're gonna wanna do like more maybe, and then kind of sew like 2 different times in a row, because when you're sewing like this, fabric can fall apart if it's like something that rips easily. But if it's something that's pretty stable, you don't need to overlap it too much. Now I'm just gonna feel for the edge of my sweatshirt. Do that much over. All right, and then I don't really like having this one on top. I think I'm gonna put this one on top. And then I think I'm gonna put this one on top as well. Yeah, I think that's looking good. Kind of just want to cut this out quick to see how it's gonna look. I don't know if I like that. Also want to cut out this Nike thing, but sometimes I get some ideas and I gotta see how it would look, because I don't plan any of this out. I know a lot of creators kind of like sketch it out or do it on an iPad or whatever, but I literally just wing it every single time. It's just fun. I don't know, that could be cool. I kind of don't like how boxy this is. So I might do something like this. And if I'm trying to wing it and it doesn't look good, then, well, sucks for me. I just gotta do something else or whatever. I'm very intuitive, connected. So I kind of just like, I guess when I'm creating, I like imagine it in my head. Like, I don't even know. It's taken a lot of years to like be able to imagine it. But I feel like that looks good. I don't know. Kind of like that. Definitely do like this cheetah print like swirl right here. But anyways, sometimes I'll take a picture of like this design, because sometimes I'll just get like design thoughts in my head. I'll take a picture of it on my phone and then kind of look at it later, because you need to sew down these before you do designs. But I'll probably remember this, so. Anyways, back to what we were doing. Now we're gonna pin this. And then like I try to slide my hand under, because you don't want to pin your design to your pattern. I like to put it up here. So I like to actually have this where I can see it, the front of the hoodie. And then I'm gonna grab my sleeve template, and first I'm gonna do the left sleeve. So I'm gonna lay it down. All right, the reason I want to have the front in my vision is because when I make this, I don't want the colors to be clashing weird. So first I'm gonna focus on the top of the arm. And you can see on the left side of this hoodie, I have these two colors. So I'm gonna choose the top of the arm to be this fabric. And I'm just gonna design it the same way kind of that I explained. I like to have almost each color showing. I just randomly, like, that's what I love about upcycling, is I just randomly laid this on, and I kind of love how this is just like doing that. I don't know. We're gonna cut it up and see. All right, I think I like that. I just like the way that whenever I have thicker fabrics or like blankets versus like thin sweatshirts, I like the thicker stuff to go on top. I just feel like that looks better. I also really like to do, which I'll probably do on the other side, yeah, it's just like do a majority of the sleeve in one color so you can do something. I'm actually gonna do that on the other sleeve, I think. I think I'm gonna do like a paw print, something I do a lot. I think it looks cool. And now I'm gonna flip this over because the arm's gonna go that way, and I'm gonna design the right sleeve now. So I said earlier, I kind of have this idea, I do this a lot, where this sleeve, I'm gonna have a big color chunk over like the top half so I can do like a cool paw print design. So as I look at this top of the sleeve and where it's gonna match up there, I don't want to use either of these colors because it's gonna clash too much. So I'm gonna use this like beige brown. And then my paw print is gonna be this color. So since that's gonna be the design color, I'm gonna wanna do the sage green on the bottom. And then I wanna put a paw print on the top, and I'm not gonna like sew the design till later, but sometimes I forget my idea. So I'm gonna just draw it on. I'm just using this ultra clean washable Crayola marker, and I freehand it every time. Sometimes I'll go in with like dots to like outline my design. So I'm just doing it lightly. And then since this is like some sort of like a cat fabric, I mean, I don't know if it's like a leopard, cheetah, jaguar, I'm actually not sure. But I do know that wild cats have retractable claws, so their paw prints don't have claws on them. Wolves, coyotes, raccoons, dogs, they all usually have their claws out, and I don't think they can retract them. So if you see the claws, it's usually a wolf I'm doing. And if you don't see claws, it's usually some sort of cat. Fun tip. And after I'm done doing this, I try to make sure I don't fold it or touch it, because this stuff this marker stuff does take a bit to dry. I also really like to freehand it because it's just fun. And also, like, paw prints, like nature and wild animals are never perfect, so I like seeing the imperfections in them. It's just, I don't know, natural, normal. I'm so excited. I honestly wasn't too sure about this like sage color. I always am like, is this gonna look good? And even if the colors like don't go very well together, it's like when you put on like the swirls and the designs, like it makes everything flow nicely. So if you're worried that it might not look good, it probably will. Just trust the process. Okay, next we're gonna do the hood. This is my wizard hood pattern, and I'm actually, after I'm done recording this, I'm gonna list it for sale on my website. It's gonna be $10. But you don't have to buy it. You can kind of wing it, but hopefully you don't ruin like your whole project winging it, because it took me a decent amount of time to perfect this, I'm not gonna lie. To perfect it to look good and functional. But yeah, if you don't want to buy it, I'm gonna kind of explain how to do it. So basically you're gonna do what we've been doing, but you're gonna get the outline of your hood, and I don't know, if you just want a normal hood, you can just start from there and then kind of go to a point if you want a wizard hood. But I like mine big and large because I have dreadlocks. So I do mine like, I don't know, 4 inches probably up, and then start curving and go down to a point. So yeah, you can kind of just wing it if you want, but it is really hard. If you do buy this online, it's just gonna be this folded up in like an envelope. And if you want to buy it, it's gonna be linked in my description below. Yeah, let's get to it. So again, everything I'm doing is like for a specific reason. This is gonna be the left side of the hood. Well, actually, if you're wearing it, it's gonna be your right, but for looking at it purposes. So this is gonna be matched up to this. So this is gonna be right under it. So you're just gonna wanna make sure the colors don't clash. So I'm gonna wanna do this bottom portion like that sage green. And also, if you did buy my pattern, just cut it exactly on the lines. I've already given you like measured seam allowance. So just cut it exactly to the size. Now that I've done that, it kind of doesn't really matter what color I do next. And now I'm gonna pin it, set that aside, flip this over, and we're gonna do the other side. This right side, I'm gonna put it under it to see what will look best. So since this is the beige tan, I'm not gonna wanna do that like on this area at least. All right, for the final piece, we're gonna do the back. And I like to have the front of the hoodie to look at. Okay, so this side of the back is going to be matched up to that side of the front, and this side of the back is being matched up to this side. So when I do this, I mean, you can do what you want, but I'm not gonna have the print because I don't want it to like be too much print in one spot. So I'm probably gonna do this on this side, and then probably gonna do the print on the other side, just doing those two, and then I'll probably just do like a big sage green swirl on the whole back because I don't have a lot of this left. Now that we have all of our panels ready, we're gonna sew. I just am using this beige because I feel like it matches the best. The settings I'm gonna use to sew the pieces together is width of 2 and length of 2. So when I sew them, I try not to go like exactly on the edge. I try to go a little bit in. I'll sew it a little bit and show you guys. So you can see it's not directly on the edge because I found that if I've done that before, sometimes they will rip apart. So if you don't like how it's like hanging like that, you can always go back again over the edge. And if you are using like a sweater fabric, I'd recommend doing it like this and then doing another row like here. Alright, so this is how it's looking. This is the front panel, the first one that I showed you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and sew out the rest of these, and then I'm going to come back for the next part. Okay, now that I have everything sewn together, I'm going to start designing. So if you remember in the beginning, I kind of just had these ideas, and I'm just going to put them back on my front. Then I'm going to do like a cheetah or animal print swirl right there. I'm not going to go super in depth with how to do those swirls. I'm just going to kind of explain it. And then I'm just going to start anywhere and just cut around. Alright, now I'm going to pin it. Alright, now I'm just going to kind of design my other pieces. This is the one with the paw print. I'm not going to explain it super into detail because I have a whole other YouTube video describing how to do this. But basically, you're just gonna put the fabric that you want that design to be. Like I'm gonna cut out these pieces after I sew. And you're just gonna put the fabric that you want it to be underneath it. And then pin it around the outside. So now I'm just gonna go with the rest of my pieces and kind of just do cool shapes, swirlies, and other designs. And then I'm gonna show you guys how to sew it on. So to sew the swirls together, I'm going to do a width of 3 and a length of 3. So it's kind of the same thing as sewing the different pieces together. I'm probably going to go more like over the edge on these swirls. Since we're doing a width of 3, the zigzags are going to be bigger. So it's going to capture this fabric good while also getting the edge of it. So when you're done, it should look something like this. If you have like a sweater material again, you might just want to sew inwards more or do an additional line. To do this paw print design, I'm going to set my width to 0 and my length to 1. Basically, I'm just going to stitch on the design on every single piece. And again, if you want a more in-detailed tutorial, I'm going to link it below because this can be really tricky if you want to perfect it or make it look like really good. I'm just giving you like right now like the simple like how to do it, but there is a lot to it. Okay, now that I've sewn all of the designs on, it's time to sew the hoodie together. So I'm just starting with the front and the back, and you're gonna wanna place what you're gonna see on the outside together. So you're gonna pin the top of it right there and right there. And then you're gonna pin the armpit area to the bottom on each side. Then for the arms, you're gonna sew the inside so it's together. We'll pin it. And then you're gonna see this little point. You're gonna pin and sew from that point all the way to the bottom. For the wizard hood part, you're gonna lay them together with the outsides touching, and then you're gonna pin from the top point all the way to the point on the bottom. Now to sew what we just pinned together, I'm gonna do a width of 0 and a length of like 1.5. When you're sewing it, I like to leave a decent amount of fabric on the side. So like the edge of this should be lined up to the edge of this. So when you're done, it should look something like this. Now that we have everything sewn, like all the pieces, it's time to assemble them together. And I like to turn everything right side out because there's specific pieces. Well, the arms go in specific places. The body and the wizard hood kind of just like already have their places because you can't do it any other way. But because the arms are the same, like it could go on this side or this side, I like to turn everything right side out to make sure you have them on the right side. Because like if you actually sewed this one over here, it would clash really weird, those colors. So I'm gonna put them on the right sides. You can see that looks way better. And now we're gonna keep those on the side and we're gonna turn them back inside out to sew. I'm gonna do the hood last. First, we're gonna focus on attaching the arms. So to attach the arms, I first grab this armpit area because they both have a seam. I just like to pin the seams together. And then on the body, there's like this seam on the top. And in order to match it up, you're gonna kind of hold where it's pinned and at the top so it's perfectly in half. And then you're gonna grab this top of it and you're gonna pin it to the seam part on the top of the body. Pin it halfway from the top of the hoodie on the sleeve to the bottom. I'm gonna flip it and do the same. So I turned it around and this is the pin by the armpit and this is the pin by the top. And we're just gonna pin it at the halfway point. It should look something like this. It's just pinned evenly all the way around. And then to sew it together, you're just gonna use the same settings your machine was on last time. And you're gonna leave the extra room like you did when you were sewing together the pieces as well. All right, now that we have the arms on, I'm gonna turn everything right side out. I love this part because then you can see how it's coming together. Oh, it's so cute. It's so cute. All right, time for the wizard hood. All right, I'm gonna do my best to like explain it, but it can be pretty confusing. All right, first I like to make sure this neckline is as flat as possible. Then I like to take 2 pins and I like to mark it directly in the front and in the back. I kind of eyeball it, but you could fold it to see. You're gonna make sure that you're laying it on right. Just kind of lay it down like this so the point is to the end. We're gonna grab these 2 pieces so you can see how it's like this is like the hood part. And you're gonna grab these together. Then you're gonna pin these right here. I like to leave like a finger space extra. So I'm gonna pin this right here. And this is extra. That's gonna be like hanging off. Do the same on this side. Have like this extra. It's gonna be hanging off. And pin it right there. This extra that's gonna be hanging off. You're gonna pin it all around to the back. This is where we pinned. And I'm just gonna line it up. Pin it. Pin this fabric together all the way till you get to the back pin. Now we're to the back pin. And we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Go back to the front and pin these fabrics together all the way around to the back side. All right, now that we're at the back side and both of them are pinned around to the back, we're gonna reach in here and grab out that pointed from the end of the wizard hood. Kind of just lay it down. So this is the back of the hood and then the pointed of the wizard hood. And you're just gonna pin this all the way down. Again, you're just gonna leave the settings the same for this. And you're just basically gonna sew all that we pinned. But the front of the hood's kind of confusing, so I'm just gonna kind of show you what I do. Take out this middle one, but still like have an idea of where that's gonna line up. So I'm gonna start sewing like right here. You're gonna leave this flap there. Then you're gonna sew all the way around on the hood part, but not sewing the wizard hood, like where it goes to the tip. So this is what I'm saying, is don't sew the wizard hood part yet. When you get to the back, just keep going around like the perimeter of the hood and just leave that. So when you get to here, where you have like these 3 pieces, it's a little challenging, but just piece these 2 together and sew everything down. So you're gonna sew these 2 onto here. Getting to the front of the hood again. So just make sure you're also leaving the extra piece hanging. I like to make sure they're as even together as possible. So you can see that. And just make sure you sew them together against this piece. So it should look like this. And now you're just gonna sew from that back piece of that hood all the way to the tip. And when you're sewing in the beginning, make sure you really connect all of these or else there'll be like a hole. So I like to start even like before this. Like I like to go this, I like to start over here. Alright, now that we have the hood sewed on, I'm gonna turn it right side out. And this part's kind of hard, just kind of like to pull it out as much as I can. You're not gonna get like a perfect tip, but you can kind of just like grab it and try to pull out as much as you can. That's usually how it looks for me. It's like this, I don't know, this like bulge thing. So the hood is on. Now we're gonna finish up the seams from the inside. So for this, I like to use a width of 3 and a length of 3. So we're gonna start at the front with these like flaps, and you're gonna fold it in. So it should look like that. It's still kind of hanging off, but not that much. And then, I don't know, that much. I usually fold over. It's like a fingernail, I guess. And you're just gonna keep folding this all the way around till we get to the front and sew it down. So it should look something like this when you're done. You can see it's still like not what it's supposed to be because you have to do it again, but that's what it should look like now, all the way around. So basically we're just going to do it again. Start at the front and just fold that down. So it's going to look pretty clean like that when we're done. We're just going to fold everything over again. And when I do this, I like to sew like on this side, I guess, kind of overlapping on the edge. All right, now I'm getting towards the front again. So when you get close to there, you're just gonna wanna not stop here. You're gonna wanna kind of continue up here just a little bit. And that's how it should look on the front. And this is how the hood should look. It's looking good. It's looking good. Alright, we're finally on to the last step, which is attaching the elastic pieces onto the bottom and the end of the sleeves. First, I'm going to start with the bottom. You just want to make sure it's even and the seams on the sides are exactly on the side. Then we're going to grab this, and most of these have like the seams on the side, so you can just kind of line them up to the edges, but some of them don't. This is supposed to be smaller than your hoodie, but I like to stretch mine a little bit because I feel like this one's a little too small, maybe, but I'm gonna make it work. It should just be like slightly smaller than this because this elastic like holds it down. Anyways, so we're gonna line up exactly in half, line up this side. So you're gonna grab it, and then we're gonna flip it and pin the edges together. Same thing on the other side. Grab the edges, flip it, and pin that together. And then kind of flip this all like that. We're gonna put a pin at the halfway point on each side. So to find that halfway point, just hold each edge and kind of stretch it. And quickly find that where they meet up in half. And then flip the hoodie over. The same thing. Grab each side where it's pinned. Kind of just stretch it and find the middle. And then these elastic sleeve pieces. It's kind of the same thing. They usually have an edge. You can line that up to your edge, your seam. So I like to put the hoodie piece on and then flip it like that. Pin it where they line up. And then stretch them both. Which can be kind of difficult sometimes. Line it up and like stretch it. And then you're gonna find that halfway point. I'm gonna do that same thing for the other one. All right, to sew these on, I'm gonna do width of 0, length of 1.5. So for these pieces, you're just gonna start at a pin, or after a pin. And you're gonna leave that same amount of extra fabric. And so these elastics are gonna be smaller than your like other fabric. So you're gonna need to stretch it a little bit. So like my next pin is all the way over here. So you're gonna need to stretch them together and sew it like that. Just stretching them. And you're just gonna do that all the way around. And when you're sewing them, I like to line up the left side of my presser foot to this seam and sew it like that all the way, because then it has like an even seam all the way around when you look at it. For the sleeves, it's kind of the same concept. Start after a pin. Make sure your presser foot is lined up to the seam all the way around. And you're gonna need to stretch it when you sew. It's finally done. She's beautiful. I love it. Definitely one of my favorite wizard hoodies I've made. This is why I said have the presser foot lined up to the seam, is because it's just like a clean seam. Same with the sleeves, like looks professional. Oh, we did it. We finished. Only took me like 3 days to actually complete it. I hope you guys love your wizard hoodie. Thank you so much for following to the end and watching my video. I would really appreciate it if you left a thumbs up, subscribed, commented if you wanted to, because it really helps for me to grow my channel and it pushes me to want to create more tutorials for you guys like this dope hoodie. So yeah, I love you guys and I'll see you next time.